today here on my right, your left, offensive coordinator Mitch Stewart, defensive coordinator Ashley Anders. We'll open it up first. Coach Anders, you want to talk a little bit about your defense, and then we'll move on to Coach Stewart.
Well, I tell you what, we've been real pleased with the progress that we made through fall camp in 2 days. Feel like that we've added some depth in the secondary. Feel like we've added some overall speed to the defense. Be a little bit thin at linebacker right now, but we feel like the ones that we got coming back are impact players. I'm very excited about the new faces that we've got from the front line all the way to the back end. So we're real pleased in the direction that we're headed, and look forward to playing Saturday.
I think offensively, the big thing coming out of camp was just, like he said, the depth. We've got a little bit more depth at the skill position. Up front, we're not quite as deep, but we do feel good about the guys that we've got up there. We've got a lot of experience up there, especially from the center over to the right. The left guard, the left tackle will be fairly new for us, but we still feel good up there. But especially at the skill positions, running back and wide receiver, we've really improved our depth. And of course, at quarterback, we've got Casey returning, and that's always nice to have a 3-year start right there. But more importantly, we have some guys that are behind him that are really improving. The freshman, Katie Humphries, he really looked good this game, so we're extremely excited about that.
Questions from coaches?
Actually, talk about the strength of your defense opposed to previous years. Where does that strength lie this year in your opinion?
Well, I think overall speed, I think, will be a contributing factor, to where we stand defensively. Also, guys that they just have playing experience as compared to the previous 2 years. You look at Quay Hussey, and has played at a division above us, and then took almost every snap last year. So he brings on game experience along with some leadership qualities. You look at the back end, with Skinner in the back end, Brandon Wicks, who's going to be a 3-year starter now. Those guys will bring something that you can't teach, and I think with having those key positions, having game experience now, I think that'll help for the guys that they don't have that, help bring them along.
How much will you miss Sam Small when you don't have him?
Well, I tell you what, it's anytime you have a player with the intangibles that Sam brings to a team, not just athletically and playing on game day, it hurts, but the good thing is he is on the sideline. He'll travel with us, and all of those leadership qualities that he does possess, he'll still have those. He just won't be on the field in an 11-on-11 situation. But he'll be missed on the field, but I'm glad he's still on the sideline.
Can we just kind of talk about a spot now in your first week of game week that you guys have been really pleased with on the side of the ball?
For us, I think that it's more so, rather than a particular position or something like that. For us, it's just more so the experience that we have, and the guys, especially like I said earlier, with the skill position, the guys that we have coming back. We go out there day one, a lot of the time, and it's still there between the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. Our kids, it's funny because we've been so, and we will continue to be this week so simple with what we do offensively, and our kids have been around here so much they get kind of bored with it, and they want to coach. Let's do something else. Let's run one. Let's run a trick play. Let's do something. Because they've been around, some of them for their 3rd year now, and that makes it easy on us. Because once you get to a point where you want to start adding the building, you're able to do those things.
And defensively, I think one thing that the guys have shown more than they have, in the past is just their their overall energy and their overall excitement. I feel like, on a daily basis, we've gone out there and been up-tempo and upbeat, from the start to the finish of practice, more so than in the past. The other thing is our urgency in getting to the football. During camp, guys get sore, they get a little stove up, and, it could be that play across the field that they may not want to quite run as hard as they do, but, with all of those guys pushing each other and that up-tempo attitude that they're having right now on having a sense of urgency to get to the ball, I've been real pleased with.
Mitch, what's the greatest challenge for Saturday on your side of the ball?
I'll be honest with you, we got a bunch of them, but probably the biggest challenge right now is their front four. Their front four can really go. Their D-line is as good a D-line as I've ever seen. They are athletic, they're big, they're strong, and trying to find ways to eliminate them or at least give them something to think about. And that's going to be a huge challenge for us.
Ashley, what about your end?
Kind of the same situation. They're big, fast. In my previous experiences, you play a team with that caliber. It's their depth. They're able to run guys in and out where the athletic ability does not fall off a whole lot. So you're just continuously playing against very, very skilled athletes. So that's something that you've got to overcome right there. And the next one is it's the first game, and it doesn't matter who you play, at what level, from a defensive standpoint, will be live tackling. You simulate as much as you can during practice, and you go a certain length of time in camp where we tackle each other, and as it gets closer to game week, you've got to taper off of that live look, just so that you know that you're healthy going the first game. So, being able to tackle in space, that's always something that you need to do well from the get-go.
You may not know this, we had Hannibal Buford, now we have HB Buford. What's why the change? Any idea?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I just know him by HB.
Okay.
But I don't know why they changed that up on him. Probably because everybody here just kind of knows him by HB now. So Hannibal Buford's just a mouthful of stuff.
Okay.
He just short has HB. You can't yell at him fast enough when he's going by Hannibal Buford, so you just go HB.
All right.
But you kind of talked about simplifying everything. As you said, guys can get bored and things like that. We're throwing trick plays. Is that kind of standard for a game like this? Kind of keeping things basic and simple?
I don't know. I don't know how other people do it. I know it's standard for us, but it's pretty much standard for us each and every week. My biggest concern in any game is going out there and putting a kid in a position where he doesn't know what he's doing. I want him to know at least what they're doing all the time. They may not do it very well, or at some point they may just get out athleted or something like that. But my biggest concern going into a game is running a play where everybody kind of looks at you when you signal it in, like, what is that? So I want to make sure that during the course of the week, we've hit each one of those plays multiple times so that those kids know what they're supposed to do, given whatever look we're showing them. And I don't think that you can do that when you have a call sheet this big and you're running a bunch of complex stuff. It's just hard to get all that stuff practiced in 4 or 5 days kind of thing.
You talk about their defensive line, a team that can really kind of bring the pressure with just 4 guys. Can I talk about the challenges you face with that?
Well, just like you said, that is the biggest challenge. They are not very, knock on wood, they're not very complicated in what they do. They line up and they go play ball. And they've got 4 guys up front that can do that. They can create pressure on their own. They can create pressure just straight rushing. They don't even have to do games or anything like that. They can get up the field on you. They can spin on you. They can just do a lot of things. And and their vacuum's pretty salty too now. I don't know if they've got a weak link or anything like that, but those front four, they can really do a lot of things with those front guys and not have to be very complicated on their end.
Can you explain how preparation for a game week changes from 4 weeks to fall camp? What are some of the nuances that are different about this week versus the previous weeks?
For us, I mean, you got to have a base defense, something that you can hang your hat on, and then you have to continue that all year long because that's what you practice day in and day out. So, for us, I mean, we have our base, our base package defensively, and then the only thing that really changes from that is how you may fit a certain play based on what you see on film and where they're trying to attack you. But overall, scheme-wise, it does not change a whole lot from week to week.
For us, I'll be honest with you, the biggest thing that I'm always worried about is all just the little nuances that we have offensively. I mean, you look at a victory formation, as little as that sounds, but you've got to work that before you go into that game week. A clock, if you want to clock the ball, or at the end of the game, if you get in a situation where you have to throw a Hail Mary, just anything like that. Also, you have to make sure that your kids are boned up on that stuff. That's usually what worries me the most because we've forgotten something so small, so little, but can make a huge difference.
So those are things you work on for game prep weeks and not so much for camp.
Right. Here at camp, it's like he said, we're more so focused on our base offense, finding personnels, finding what we can do with different kids, or do we have it in the right spot? Do we need to move them, and so on and so forth. And then once you get into game preparation, especially for us, because when we go versus a defense in summer camps, we're not scheming their defense. We're not going to come in and go, okay, they're doing this coverage or whatever. We're just running on plays, good, bad, or different. We just kind of run plays. And then also when you get to game week, you start having to scheme a little bit, cut this play, add this play, and that sort of thing.
Basically worried about what we do, not as compared to what we'll see early and adjust as it goes.
I got a question for both coaches. Is the depth chart pretty solidified on both sides of the ball, or are there some really intriguing position battles coming up this weekend?
It's always something to change, especially when you're dealing with 18-year-old kids. They can come out and just have a bad day in a heartbeat and not want to do anything, just because their girlfriend broke up with them or something like that. So it's always something to change. But for us offensively, we still at the skill position. That's always intriguing because those guys, some days somebody will go out there and they'll make a bunch of catches, a bunch of plays, and you'll kind of go, well, maybe we need to give it a shot maybe once. But overall, right now, we're pretty set. We have an idea of what we're going to put on the field.
Defensively, we're in the same situation. You've got guys out there that everybody knows at certain positions who the better players are. I mean, even the kids are taking. I mean, they know. So we tell our guys though, this is the thing. We're not going to announce our starting depth chart until Thursday after practice. And the reason being is we don't want a guy to go out there and think he's got something sewed up and just goes through practice. There's been times where we've, a really good player, a guy who should be the starter, man, if he doesn't put, go into practice with the attitude that I'm going to lose my position, or I need to be working hard as I can, we'll throw the old slip on him right there to keep him honest.
You like when we do that, don't you, Rush?
Yeah.
Any more questions for the coaches? Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right, thank you, guys.
Opening statement about your team going into the opener.
We've had some good practices during camp, and last week was abnormally a good week of practice, considering you come out of camp, you still got a week before you get into to game preparation. So we prepared well. We're excited about an opportunity to start a new season. Knock on wood, we're fairly healthy. We got a bunch of young players that will take the field for the first time in the collegiate environment come September the 1st. So, they look good at practice. I feel good about our depth. Just hadn't seen a bunch of them play when the lights are on. But, we got a good plan. It's a simple plan. And unfortunately, we got to go in and we'll have to play the 7th ranked team in the country. Some experts are picking them to win the national championship at the BCS division. And we're the 26th ranked team at the FCS division. So there's a little disparity there amongst the rankings. But it ought to be a great day. I grew up a Florida State fan all the way when I was a youngster, so it'll be neat to get to go walk the sidelines there. And, I'm looking forward to it. From a personal standpoint, when I was at Valdosta State, we shared the same media, very similar to the Paducah media. That was kind of our market, was Tallahassee and Albany, Georgia. We shared those two. So, I'm looking forward to it. I get to see a lot of old coaches. The coach that gave me my first job, Gene McDowell, is the first All-American Florida State ever had. He's going to be on the sideline with me. So I'm looking forward to getting to see him. It's been a while. So it ought to be a fun day. The environment ought to be good for our players to have that opportunity. But to say it'll be a challenge is probably an underwhelming statement. Any questions?
Do you prepare any differently for a game like this than you would for a game against an FCS opponent?
Well, the first game's always difficult to prepare for because you really don't know who you are. And I say that, we have our schemes that we run, and we recruit to those schemes, but every year, your team's a little bit different. And a lot of times, my goal is by game 3, you better know what you're good at. Okay, you better know how to go about attacking the opponent. Makes it difficult when you play, right off the get-go. We're playing Florida State, and then we come and play Central Arkansas, who's one of the top teams at our level. So we need to find that out a little bit quicker. But you got to keep it simple early on. You don't know. A lot of these guys, like I mentioned earlier, they look good at practice. I think their game, I think they're going to be fine in the game. You just don't know what type of team you got till you go play someone else. So normally you keep it simple, but you and your Joes and their Joes are about the same. This time around, we're playing against a pretty formidable opponent. So, we'll keep it simple. We'll go out there and try to execute as good as we can. And hopefully we can hang in there long enough to have a chance to win at the end.
Can you talk about the experience that you have that's going to really help you guys stay simple and kind of just conduct the things that you guys want to do very efficiently?
Well, we're not very complicated anyway. If you look around, the best teams in all of football are very simple schematically. Now, they may, to the average eye watching them, they may look like they do a whole lot of stuff, but Florida State's defense, they're not going to do a whole lot, but they're very good at what they do. And Oklahoma's the same way. So there's a lot of teams out there very similar to us as far as simplicity goes. But hopefully we'll just go out and execute well. The big thing is we'll make sure that the check doesn't bounce. That $450,000. Some of that money's already been spent. Renovated weight room, new headset. So, if the check bounces, we're in trouble. We'll be taking up a collection next week and here at the press conference, and come out there unscathed. But we want to go down there and play very well. We want to play as good as we can play. Now, how that matches up to Florida State, we'll know about 8 o'clock Central Standard Time Saturday night. But we want to go down and we want to be crisp in our execution in all phases.
We talked in practice about oddly enough, having enough hot days to prepare you for this. Is that going to be a factor in the heat humidity?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. Every day during camp, you always pray that you have good weather. Because guys aren't in shape, and you got to get your work in, and you don't want to be too concerned about it. And then once we had good weather, then after camp, I'm complaining that we didn't have any hot days out there. So I guess that's just a coach's prerogative. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be a concern somewhat. You know, it's going to be a little humid. You're never in game shape week 1 or week 2. It doesn't matter what you do. I've done it all, and you're just never in shape. I mean, for the intensity and the adrenaline rush that takes place early on in the season. So, you know, again, it is what it is. We have no control over the weather, but we do plan on playing a lot of folks early in that ball game.
I know it's a new year and a new team by definition, but in other FBS games you played, is there anything you take maybe just being in a bigger environment like you were at Louisville last year? Is there anything that some of those players can take from a game like that?
Well, I hope so. You know, you look back, and I think Casey, he'd be the first one to tell you he didn't play very well last year in the ball game. And part of that is, you know, the Lions playing against a higher quality defensive lineman, and, you know, receivers are going against a little bit better DB. So, you know, and then you just look at the QB, maybe they're not as open as they normally are. So, big thing with us going in there, we got to have some success. Casey's got to have some success early. We got to do a good job of getting him some easy completions, getting him in the flow of the game. Something that we thought we tried to do against Louisville, but we had a very difficult time doing that. The other big thing in a game like this is you got to be good in your special teams. And, you know, to me, when you go up against an FBS opponent, that's a lot of times where the game gets out of hand quicker than any other phase because of their great depth that they have on their team. So, you know, they'll probably be running a lot of fresh bodies. We'll have a lot of starters playing those teams. So from that area, we got to do a good job. And then it's just a matter of not getting caught up in the moment of being in a big stadium. You know, hearing the old war chant, watching the old, you know, Osceola throw the big flaming spear down as he rides Renegade out on the field. I'm a Florida State buff, so I know all that stuff. So, you know, you can't get caught up in that moment because it's different. You know, it's different for these guys because that isn't an every game occurrence for them. So if you're able to overcome that early on, and then you hang around as long as you possibly can, you get into the second half, you know, within striking distance, anything can happen.
I know you mentioned, you know, camp prepared you well for this venture, but do you ever feel like the first week is kind of a scramble week, just trying to do as many last minute things as possible?
Yeah, it always is. I mean, there's a lot of administrative things that you have to do. You know, we got some new coaches on the staff that haven't been through a game week with us. You got new players. Last week was kind of a mock game week for us, and you know, the intensity in certain practices was a little bit different than it will be this week. But the players have already been through a game week routine. So, you know, big thing with me is just routine, doing the same thing over and over again. So from that standpoint, I think we'll be okay. But always, you know, especially when you travel, you know, we're going to be on an airplane, things that we're not usually, you know, doing to travel. You just got to limit those distractions and try to make it as smooth as you possibly can.
Two-part question. One, how has Beverly looked? And two, do we have any updates from the NCAA's eligibility as well?
Well, first of all, you know, he has been very limited in what he can do. You know, he hadn't played in a while. You know, he was out of shape, and we knew that. You know, I mean, we've been recruiting for a long time. You know, this wasn't something that just happened a week into the summer. So, you know, if he does play, I'd be safe to say that he'll see very limited time. Just because I don't think he's quite ready. Now, if he has a great week of practice, you know, I may change my team come the end of the week. But as of right now, I would say he's going to be very limited, and it looks like he will be eligible to play. We have not gotten anything in writing yet, but we have gotten word that we feel like, you know, I'd say he's 99. We're 99% sure that he will play. But until I get that piece of paper in writing, you know, we have a plan. So from that standpoint too, you know, we've limited the amount of reps he's taken just because we wasn't sure if he would be able to play this week.
You mentioned earlier hoping you come out of the game unscathed, and I've had several fans that I've talked to about the game, they always say, well, I hope we don't get anybody hurt. There's not really anything you can do toward that end, though, is there?
Oh, no, we're going to go out, we're going down there to play to win, win the ball game. I always, one of my, my favorite fighters in the ring was Mike Tyson, okay? And, he would come out of the ring and he'd try to knock you out right in the first round and be done with it. When you go play like Florida State, we got to be that guy that withstands the initial blow and get to the third and fourth round. And so we got to be able to do that. But, as far as getting hurt or things of that nature, you got, I really believe you got as good a chance to get hurt against an opponent of your level than you do, at Florida State. If it happens, it happens. But, of course, that's our goal. We don't want to go down there and get worn down too quickly and come back and be tired for the next week.
You talking about defensive line from Florida State?
They're pretty good. Which one?
Talk about the challenge, 50%.
Well, I say this with great respect to our players, and our players know I do a lot of poor mouthing to you guys, and they know half the stuff I tell you that don't pay any attention to. But I really think, that in a game like this, if there's one advantage, other than like special teams and the big crowd and all that, but as far as on the field, it's the trenches. I think I told Neil the other day, we go down there and play 7-on-7, we'd be in the mix. We could play 4 full quarters, hands down, no questions asked. I really believe that. And I think we have a great offensive line. I really do. I think they're very well coached. Coach Polly, Coach Boston do a great job. But, they're going against 4 first-round draft choices up there. And that's the biggest challenge is in the trenches of being able to compete and be able to move the ball. I know we played Georgia several years back, and they were number 1 in the country at the opening game. And, we gained 3 yards on a run. We were fired up because those holes, they would be big, and all of a sudden they would close in a hurry. So, yeah, we're going to have to throw the ball quick. We're going to have to run right at them. There will not be any side-to-side running or anything like that, just because they're just so big, athletic, and fast. And, you go back, their linebackers, I could say the same about them, and their secondary, I could say the same about them as well.
The line, the offensive line, they seem to have a chip on their shoulder, anything like that, give an opportunity to go against those guys that are so talented.
Well, yeah, as a competitor, you're excited about, putting your skills up against a quality opponent. Coaches, we're excited about going down there, to compete against a team of their caliber. Very few times you get to do anything. You get the opportunity for greatness, and you go down there and you shock the world, man. All of a sudden, this program his perception's been changed. You're in front of magazines, ESPN's talking about you, but it doesn't happen very often. But we're not asking our guys to go play 12 games against ACC or SEC opponents. We're just asking them to do it one time. So hopefully we go down there and play well, and anything can happen. I really didn't mean that. The stuff I do tell you is true, but sometimes I do. Paint a worse picture than maybe it actually is. I correct that statement a little bit just so that you guys will continue to listen to me.
I wanted to expand on the trenches a little bit. Do you feel like because of their rush defense that it's going to completely change your game plan early on?
Well, we're going to stick to our plan. I promise you this, we're not going to line up in there 2 tight ends and 3 backs and try to run it right at them. If they're watching, I'm going to tell you that's not going to happen. We're going to try to mix it up, play at great tempo like we normally do, and, hopefully better move the ball some. We only have so many plays that we run, and I'm not going to go in this game and change my whole scheme for one ball game where, then we have to start over the next week. This is a work in process, in progress. So we're going to do what we do, and hopefully we'll do it very well.
How much does Casey's experience with no offense really help you going into this game?
Well, it's no different than any other game. This will be his 3rd season running our attack. I just hope that, we're able to have some success early to get our confidence up, playing a team of Florida State's caliber.
Having, maybe two speedy, shifty running backs, does that, how does that factor with their defense? You don't have the big, huge guy to hammer it in like Mike Harris right now. Do they factor into their speed?
I don't think it matters if you had two fast guys or you had one big guy. They're going to line up in a 4-3 defense. They're going to press us on the outside and dare us to beat them over the top. And then when we run it, there'll be 9 guys sitting around that box with gold helmets on that are mean guys. So, I don't know that it really matters what kind of guys you run in there. We're not going to outrun them. They're pretty good now. I'll just tell you, we played Georgia, and watching this team on film and them, this team is, I haven't watched as much offense as I do defense on but they have defensively what it takes to be a championship caliber football team. That's just as nice as I can say it.
Any more questions? Thank you, Coach.
All right,